season. And it's a high-pressure gig, and it's something that I've always wanted, and I was, the family, the this, the that, and so forth and so on. And I called a couple people, and Matt was one of them, said, you should do it. Paul was one of them, said you should do it. Mike was one of them. And it's time I got my head out of my butt and kind of gave back and explained what this place really means to me. I didn't know Matt was going to be here crushing it. It's kind of like our careers, you just can't let me have it. It's like one night where I can get up here and I can express how much this place means to me, and Matt's up here, acting like it's late night at Apollo. As he's been crushing every single person that's in here, he's already done the pump fake thing, so JT and I both recognize that Coach always told us that you can't hold Paul Jez's jack. And so we know we can't be where you are, Paul, but we should be on the list. Now, if Matt hasn't explained, Matt's like top 3 in free throw attempts, which means every time, and Matt could be butt naked, wide open in the block, and he would pump fake. I swear to God, we would be standing in midcourt. Here's the thing, we all ran motion, right? Coach ran motion, Coach Melanie ran motion, Mike ran motion. We all ran motion, which means you had good passers. None of us are on that list. Not one of us is on that list. So I'm going to take that award. And that's going in lieu where one of my kids is. Because that's right there. Because that meant a lot to all of us. We'd be in a midcourt and be like, you pump faked again? Matt is so literal. Here's a couple things. Matt is the hardest worker in the world. There's no question about it. But he's so literal. He had to pump fake. So those of us that are in here, we know the 7 rules of defense, right? If you remember them, right? It was honor the ball line, jump to the ball, never meet you past away. Don't get split, force baseline, clean up the baseline, rebound. So Coach gave us these rules one day, clean up the baseline and rebound. He says, tomorrow, we revisit them tomorrow. So I walk in the next day, and this is Scout's honor, right? Scout's honor. This is the truth. Matt is at the other end of the baseline when you walk in the gym, and all of us know that, right? The girls' locker room was down there at the time. And he has a bucket that he must have gotten from Mr. Flowers, God rest his soul. And he's cleaning the baseline. I come to the other end, and he goes, I said, what are you doing? He goes, dude, I gotta clean the baseline. Coach said we gotta clean the baseline. I'm not running today. He's come a long way, ladies and gentlemen. Let's give him a hand. Honored to be here, to be with Matt. We are the 2 most unlikely kids to be in this room. And that's the truth. Not because, players, but we grew up outside of here. I'm here from Germany, he's here from Germany. There's no shot for us to be here. For 2 of us to be in the same room. And for him to make the impact he made, we're brothers now. It's crazy. Right? We married sisters, and we're legally family. It's legal. It's not like we're brothers, but we're actually brothers. So to have the opportunity to be here and share the stage with him is amazing. So when I sat down and thought about what I want to talk about, I want to talk about kind of the connections of the room, the importance of the room, and what it means to be a Macon man, essentially. And I can connect myself first, and I'd like to talk about some of the icons of the program and how we should go forward. And at the same time, for you young men that are in this room that are getting a chance to bask in this greatness, because really what this room is greatness. There are multiple people in here that are extremely successful men because of what we've learned, right? Either from Coach Webb or Coach Nolan or Coach Rose or Coach Davis or now Coach Merkel. You're not in this room if you're not special. Right, and you have to believe that, and you have to take that moving forward, because if you weren't special, you'd be in Sydney. So, for me, I'm not here without Greg Martin. Many people know Greg, and Greg is tough, there's no question about it. But I'm not in this room without him. My grandparents were in Charleston, South Carolina, and I lived in Europe, as Matt already alluded to or talked about earlier. And my father asked him, my parents are here tonight, they actually surprised me. My father asked Greg to evaluate me, and as a college coach, really camp is brutal. So anyone in here that's coached camp, it blows. I mean, it's really what it comes down to. It's not awesome. It's a hot gym. You got to listen to kids talking about, it's a foul. Yeah. So my dad asked him to evaluate me. He wanted to know how good I was. And he took time out of his week to ref every single game. Every game. That's unheard of. It's highly unheard of, right? It's generally the players work it, right? You guys all know. Hey, get up there and ref. Coach wants to sit on his butt for a minute. Let me relax. You ref my game. You ref my game. So he refed all my games. And he said, look, you could be a good Division II player, which is a lie. But you could be a star in Division III, which is a lie. But he pointed me to Macon. And from there, that's my first connection. My second is that I was a 4-year player. I was lucky enough to be a 2-year captain. I volunteered. If you really want to be in it, you volunteer. It's like that's why the Army is as good as they are, right? It's why the military is who they are. I volunteered. I lived in ATS. For many of those that remember that, don't live there. Right? You have bugs the size of crocodiles that I have in Florida. But I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of it terribly, and I had a great learning laboratory with Mike. Mike will remember, my desk was, Coach walked in one day, and I'll never forget it. Mike had a desk. There was another desk in there for Coach Keller, right? It was Coach Keller, Mike, and then I had a chair, and he brought me in one of those things that you can write on your with a pad. So it was a pad, like a soft pad, and that was where I wrote. I sat in my midget chair next to Mike, and I took it all in. That's how bad I wanted to be a part of Macon. Mike hired me. We were the youngest staff in America at the time. The youngest staff in America, and we killed it. We got to the point where a lot of the guys in this room were #1 in the country. We did have, at one point, the winningest class in the country. You guys crushed it. Finished from there. Mike got me my next job at Bucknell. Got me in the door at Bucknell. Mike got me in the door. In fact, I know Mike a lot.
I'll let you know later.
He's going to be a player, but he's not going to get it. So, Mike got me in the door at Benedictine, and I don't get that job. Actually, my former headmaster is here. Where's John McGinney? There he is right there. I was 28 years old and he hired me, my first job. And he did it strictly on Mike and Reed O'Brien. And here's the thing. Coach was big on talking about the players that were there before, and I knew Reed from when I was an assistant, but I really didn't know Reed. Like I knew it was Reed's a good shooter, play hard. Like that's it. Like all of us. Slow, couldn't got a chair. I knew that. Oh, it's for you, Dad. So I knew that. But the crazy thing is, he was on the board, he got me in the door, and then I couldn't move at the time, and he just opened up his house. And I lived with his family for 4 months. And I was a slob. Maybe 6. Well, actually, it was 4. It just felt like 6 for you. But he opened up his door, and that's what this place is all about, right? So from there, I got my next job at St. John's, thanks to Mike. I got all my big brothers. I had a sister, Nathan, Kurt Axe, Jared Hayes, Tom Lewis, Nat Draper. Nat, I'll get to him later. Broke my finger freshman year, Nat Draper. But he's been one of my best friends since, amazingly. My golf trip is in this room. We like to call it a golf trip. We stink, but we have a great time coming together and talking about the stories about what Randolph-Macon's all about. Let's get to the important stuff. I met my wife through Randolph-Macon, through Matt. I like to do vice versa. I brought Matt to Macon, so he met his wife, and then I met mine through him. But we'll give it to Matt for the night, all right? Because it is Matt. So my engagement ring. I'm not going to mention the man in the room. He knows who he is. But I was looking to get engaged, and somebody pointed me in the right direction. So for those of you guys that are engaged, or those of you that are not engaged, for those of you that are not, this is a monster purchase. Like this is the purchase. Okay, so I'm telling you this is advice. This is making advice, man to man. Because here's what happens. How do you do it? Let me see that. Oh, wow. And there's 2 things you say after that. That's beautiful. Or you'll upgrade in 5 years. There's no upgrade in our house. We're going on 10 years. That thing's not moved. And every time I look at it, I think to myself, God, I'm so lucky to have gone to Macon. I'm not going to embarrass the gentleman who knows who he is, and I'm extremely appreciative. What I just expressed to you is a full life. That's a full life right there, right? On top of that, you have to talk about the ideals that you learned to get you through your full life, right? So I'm going to talk about some of the icons of the program. I'll probably get emotional because it's important to me because this is my life, right? So the first person I'll mention is Coach Webb. Coach Webb is over there. If everyone doesn't know, Coach Webb, raise your hand. talk about what it means to be Macon and what you learned while you were here and what you are learning now under Coach Merkel. Because again, if you were in the room, you'd be at Cinchburg, which is Coach from Lynchburg. Okay? So, Coach Webb, I didn't play for you, but I tell you what, I feel like I did. Because Coach not only spoke in reverence every single day when he mentioned you. And here's the thing. Coach Webb gave him a chance. That's why as we honor managers in this room, like I see Mike Preston, like anything I needed, water, whatever it may be, Coach gave him a chance. He was a statistician, right? He let him do stats, right? And from there, continue to come back and continue to get better. So Coach talked every single day about what he learned, right? And I didn't fully get it until I got into coaching. Like, I didn't get it. I didn't know how great Coach Webb really was until I finished, but I also didn't know until I started coaching, because here's the thing that I always felt, when we always went to Virginia Beach, or if we played like at CNU, Coach got tight. Right, you know what I'm saying? Like, he got tight. Like, if Mike comes in my gym, I get tight, because I want to prove, not that I'm better, but that I'm good enough. So when we went to Wesleyan, I always felt like, what's wrong with Coach? He was always so calm. I mean, for 4 years, he sat down and coached us. Never said a word. All of a sudden, he's up, pacing around. And it's because he wanted Coach to know that he was following those steps. And I understand that now, because I was at Benedictine, where they stamped on the court 949 for Warren Rutledge. Right? Clown shoes type follow. Joe Gallagher at St. John's, clown shoes type follow. Coach was following clown shoes. You can't walk in clown shoes. No one can. Right? That's why they're clowns. Okay, so but it's not easy to do, and you can feel that presence. So you know what I learned? I learned respect. I learned respect for those that came before you. And every time he spoke about just what he learned and how we were moving it forward. And I don't think we do a good enough job. I've been here multiple times. I've been away for a couple of years just based on the family thing and thinking that my stuff was more important, and it's really not. But as Matt said, there's only 50 number ones in the country, and we get to rub elbows once a year with Coach Webb. That's in our room. That's not in Sydney's room. That's not in Roanoke's room. That's in our room. And he started it from here. Now, this dinner didn't start with Coach, but the basis is that we would bring everybody around and we would all be together to appreciate our greatness, because that's what we are. So, Coach, I appreciate what I learned from you, even though I didn't play for you. So, a round of applause for Coach. Yeah. For you young men that are in here right now, all right, you young men that every day get an opportunity to walk in that locker room as if I still wish I could. Don't get me wrong, I would love to be there. I stink, but I would love to walk in the locker room every single day. You have 2 plaques that are on the outside of the locker room, and I want to make sure that you understand what they mean to everyone that's in this room, okay? They're important. And they weren't just put there because they passed. They put there because they laid a foundation for what we use every single day. So I played for Coach Numbly, okay? Like Matt, my story's the same. I never met Coach until I showed up. I met him at the salad bar of Kane. His first words that he ever said to me, "Sean, how many? Let's see if you can play." He walked away. You could not have made a diamond out of that. I was tight. And he walked away. I'm like, that's my intro to my coach? What did I do? Think about that. Coach Census deserves a lot of credit, man. I showed up outside on stage. He told me I could follow a star and I'd be really good by my junior year. I said, that's good enough for me. So what I learned from Coach, there's multiple things. I mean, a lot of stuff I can't say, it's R-rated, and I'm not going to get into that. I learned preparation. Matt said pit mob, it's the truth. I've never met anyone more prepared. I mean, Josh put these out on your tables. I don't know if you got a chance to look at these game day thoughts by How Nunley. I'm sure he took 90% of it from Coach, like I take everything from Mike. I thought one thing was funny, though, and I have to point this out for all the players in the room, and I have it because I prepared for a second like Matt. I wanted to be like Matt. I know what it was. After the game, win or lose, keep it short. Get out of here. Keep it short. Win, shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee. Lose, 20 minutes minimum. 40 max. shower, and get out. No food, no good food on the way. We weren't stopping anywhere nice. I saw that and I said, you old man, that's not you, bro. But I tell you what I learned? I learned preparation. I learned preparation every single day. And here's the best way I can describe it. This is no joke. This is no joke. I played 4 years for Coach. Coach never stood up. I can count under 10 fingers how many times he wore athletic clothes to practice. That's impossible. And I watched games from us. We weren't good, but we were good because he prepared us that way. 40 series, which was motion. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. You have to have more plays than they can scout. 1, 3, 5, 7. This is crazy, I remember this. 1, 3, 5, 7, right? Baseline out of bounds for man. Run if you change it. 2, 4, and 6 for zone. ZPO, Z. Like, I have this ingrained in my head now. I'm 42. I'm 42 years old, and I can run Z right now. Right now. I go set the screen, I go long, and they never throw it to me. Never. We were prepared. But here's the other thing. I was prepared as a man. I'll never forget certain things, right? I'm sitting in the room right now, and I eat, I go to weddings, I never take my coat off. I never take my coat off. It could be 90 degrees. And you know what's emblazoned in my mind? A gentleman never removes his coat. Ever. I'm not from the South. I didn't understand it. I kept it on for fear. But now I feel cool. Because everyone else is removing their coats. I'm like, what's up? I learned from the best. I'm prepared every day. I'm prepared every day to be a good father because he was a good father to us. I learned family. Now, Coach didn't have one except for in this room. And all we got was stories on stories on stories. It's unbelievable. Jesse Hellier, one of the best employees. Troy, one unbelievable. Paul, best passer. Kevin, best shooter. Johnny Boy, top turd. That was when he was telling us about grades. I wish Charlie was here because I have to tell you this. He retired me from coming back to the alumni game because he plays so hard. Like, it's glorified, Charlie. Come on, man. I had to stop playing. But what he was doing was he was passing down the players that played before you, right? And how you can tie yourself together so if you get a job at Benedictine, you can stay at his house because you became family that way. We weren't saying really Jacket's family until Mike started that. But before that, it was Coach's own way to put us in a room and explain it. And that was the brainchild of this room. That was the brainchild of it. That's what started it. That's why we became Jacket's family. I learned that from Coach. I learned love. Crazily, I learned love. Tough love. All right, but I'm going to tell a story about Coach that not many people know. Coach was close to me. He was close to a lot of people in the room. I'm going to get emotional for a second. But we lost our last game my senior year. Coach did not coach us. Mike coached us. I don't remember if Mike drove. I think he did, but I'm not sure. Coach rode the passenger seat. And this is a weird way to put it, but he did tell us he loved us at times, and there's no question about it, but he gave us a 6-pack of beer. It's weird. It was myself and Chris Carlson, who was over there on the picture. He's at San Diego, and that was my roommate. And we didn't say a word for 2 hours. And we sat there and we each had 3 beers. And we wanted more. Because it hurt. But I'll never forget it. He said, I can never repay you for what you've done for the program. And I was floored. Because I said, repay you? Like, I'm a man now. I'm a man based on what you've done. And I take that every day with my kids. And I do it now with my players. I'm never afraid to say I love them. Ever. Now, I think that's a trait in this room. Every time we see each other, I've seen 10 guys, and I see these guys right here. And we see each other first, yeah, I love you! But it's so real, and we learned it. We learned it every day in the room. We learned it every day everywhere we went. And nobody else has that. I'm convinced. I've been a lot of places. I've seen a lot of special places. I've been at Benedictine, I've been at St. John's, and there's no one connected like this. Nobody. But now it's passed down to your next plaque, which was Kurt Axe, and I played with Kurt. And everyone's going to talk about the best player, this, that, and the third. Kurt was really good, but I'll tell you what it was. He was the toughest kid I've ever seen in my life. In my life. 5'7", bucket getter, mean. One of the coolest people I ever met. Huge big brother to me. I learned toughness from him every day. He never backed down from coach. Ever. He stuck to his convictions. He lived it to the fullest. I'm tougher every day. My dad told me one day, I said, man, Dad, I'm struggling in practice. He said, find the toughest player on the team and run next to him every day. So I went from the middle of the court, and Matt can attest to this, to the end line. And I ran next to Kurt every day for the rest of my career. And I got better because of it. I learned that as a leader, you can never be better than everybody else. Kurt would go hang. I mean, when Dan were freshmen and Matt were freshmen, and I lived in the dorm with Kurt, he'd be like, I'm going down to Matt's room. What? Matt's room? I'm a freshman. You're Kurt Axe. What are you doing? He did it. He invited everybody everywhere. He went everywhere. He was a man of the campus. Right? He was the best player in our team, and he never acted like it. He acted like he was the worst. And he took care of every single person the exact same way. I do that now with my team because of him. You treat the end of the bench just like the front of the bench. I would never learn that without playing with him. The last thing I learned from Kurt, and this is going to be true for every single person in this room, is a term I like to use, and I've used it in terms of from the military. It's called embrace the suck. Our practices sucked. Everybody in here knows that. Everyone that played for coach understands what it was like to be in practice. And he did it because he made practice harder than the games, but God bless. Every single day, 20 minutes of pre-practice. Every single day, ball handling. I don't run weave at all. I will never run weave. You know what else I don't run? 3-on-2, 2-on-1. Ever. I don't run 8s. I don't do 17s. I can't even have it come out of my mouth. It was awful. I remember a 4-hour practice at Thanksgiving once where me and Kenny Kravitz cramped the entire ride home. 4 hours of sprints. But you know who was always smiling every time? We got it. Kurt. Every time we went out to go do the Sunday mile, which was brutal. 8 times around, 10 times around, 12 times around. Here comes Kurt smiling and laughing and hitting you on the butt. Pick it up, Junior. As he's running like a 5-minute mile, like he's Ethiopian. Doing dips with a smile. Everything he did was with a smile. He loved it. I wake up every day. And there's times when you go home and you don't want to do something, right? There's times when now, I take it away. I just think to myself, what would Kurt do? I come home from a long day, and my kids are excited to see me, and I'm beat. When I walk in, I just embrace the suck. I'm like, what's up? Because I learned that from him. These ideals, I know this. These ideals were passed down to Mike, from Coach first, to Coach Nunley, to Mike. And I say Coach Rose, but I know Mike like that. To Mike, to Nathan, and now Coach Merkel. For you young guys that are in this room, understand that that's the standard. That's who we are. We should embrace that at all times. You younger guys that just graduated, 5 years, 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, you need to tell your friends that aren't here that we need to start coming back to be here. Because what needs to happen is this. The young men that are in this room, they have to feel that love. They have to feel that preparation. And that's the only way, because I'm a firm believer that if you are to, again, we want to win, but we're talking about making men, right? Making men, winning as players. The only way we're going to win in both ways is if we are consistent with our effort. And it's not just from Reed's group or Dave's group that's been carrying the heavy loads from our group. I'm so appreciative that Josh offered me the opportunity to come and talk about what we learned while here. And I guarantee you're learning the same thing right now as players. I guarantee it. I know it. I know it. Because I was there when he was there. I was working camp when he was there. I know what he stands for. I know where you're going. So I'm going to close with this. Don't forget who we are. Embrace who we are. You young men that are in here right now, you carry the torch. We will all be there for you. We will consistently be there for you. Like Reed was there for me, or like how other people have been there for me at any time that I was down, or have people have picked you up in this room. You can call a Macon man and they will make it work for you. I believe that. I'm going to leave with some coach speak, because I am a coach right now. I saw that the poll just came out the other day, and we're second. If you're a player in here and you're getting ready to play tomorrow, Immaculata?
Yes, sir.
Immaculata. If you're a player in here and you're not pissed off for seeing that, you don't belong in this room. We return everybody. We were the #1 team last year. I'm pissed. So what we do about it? Here's how you do it. And I believe this because we have short attention spans as young men. And men, I have a short attention span. You have to attack everything every day in order to win a championship. Here's what I know. There is a date that holds itself true, and I'm going to put it on a bar. It was the ODAC championship. No, March 15th. March 15th, Fort Wayne, Indiana. That's when the national championship is being played. There is enough goods in this room to do that. You have enough support in this room to do that. You should never speak of it again. That's your mission. In order to accomplish that mission, every single day, you have to be great at everything. So if you came to this dinner, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you came to this dinner and you said to yourself, I got to dress up, I got to listen to stories, I'm not feeling it, I'd rather be on campus, you failed. You failed. But if you came in here excited to rub elbows with greatness, right, with greatness, if you came here pumped to do that, you won your day. If you go home tonight, you get sleep, you won your night. If you wake up in the morning, you skip breakfast, you failed. You get breakfast. You get on that bus and you talk about that trip. You talk about dominating that trip. And when Immaculata shows up, you smack him. You move him. That's session 1. Then you go to bed that night. And everything you do, you go to class. You sit up front. You pay attention. You become educated. That's part of you becoming a Macon man. You do those things every single day. They can attest to it. You do those things every single day. You buy into what's been laid before you. You will do that. March 15th. The only way I can say this to you is this. They're not hearing you. Now this is coach speak for where I am right now, so they understand. These guys right now, they understand in the room. These young boys understand in the room. They're not hearing you. So there's only one way to make them hear you. One way. Finish them. Sing about them. Shoulder to shoulder, knee to knee, yellow jacket victory. Every single time. I appreciate you. Thank you.